Have you ever felt pressured to say yes when you wanted to say no? Or found yourself taking the blame for something that wasn't your fault? If so, you might be experiencing workplace manipulation. From gaslighting to guilt tripping, manipulative tactics can make work environments toxic, draining, and even harmful to your mental health. Today, we're exposing the red flags, breaking down how manipulation works, and, most importantly, teaching you how to protect yourself. So, if you've ever wondered why you always feel exhausted at work or why certain coworkers make you doubt yourself, stay tuned, because you're not alone, and there are ways to take back your power. I never thought I'd describe my 9 to 5 as a chessboard, but here we are. Every move calculated, every word weighed, and every smile just a little too sharp. My name's Alex, and this is the story of how I learned to spot the strings, and who was pulling them. It started innocently enough. My boss, Linda, had a way of making you feel like you were the most important person in the room. "Alex, you're such a natural at this," she'd say, handing me yet another project. "I don't trust anyone else to handle it." Flattery, I'd later learn, is the gateway drug of manipulation. It feels good, like a warm blanket on a cold day, until you realize it's keeping you in place, trapped. The first red flag came during a team meeting. Linda pitched a new initiative, her voice dripping with enthusiasm. "This is a chance for us to really shine," she said, her eyes scanning the room like a hawk. "But it's going to take extra hours. I know I can count on you all." She paused, her gaze lingering on me. "Alex, you're always so dependable." And just like that, I was volunteering for overtime. Again. It wasn't just the flattery. Linda had a knack for framing things in a way that made saying no feel like betrayal. "We're a family here," she'd say, her tone soft but insistent. "Families support each other." It's a clever tactic, really, appealing to your sense of loyalty while quietly eroding your boundaries. I started to feel like a puppet, my strings pulled by guilt and obligation. Then there was the gaslighting. Oh, the gaslighting. One day, I brought up concerns about workload during a one-on-one. Linda's response? A puzzled frown. "Alex, I'm surprised you feel that way. Everyone else seems to be managing just fine." Suddenly, I was questioning myself. Was I overreacting? Was I the problem? It's a subtle but effective trick, making you doubt your own reality so you're easier to control. But the piece de resistance? The classic divide and conquer. Linda had a way of pitting us against each other without ever saying a word. She'd praise one team member in front of the others, then drop hints about who was really carrying the team. It created this undercurrent of competition, a quiet tension that kept us all too busy watching our backs to notice who was really pulling the strings. It took me months to see the pattern. The flattery, the guilt tripping, the gaslighting, the division, it was all part of the same game. And once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. The clock on the wall, ticking away the hours, became a reminder of the time I'd lost, playing a game I never signed up for. So, what did I do? I started setting boundaries. I learned to say no without apology. I stopped chasing the carrot of approval and started focusing on my own goal. This story isn't just about me or Linda or the 9 to 5 grind. It's about the subtle ways manipulation can creep into our lives, often without us even realizing it. And now that we've walked through the experience together, I think it's time to break it down. What can we learn from this? What are the key takeaways that can help us spot these tactics and protect ourselves from them? Let's dive into the lessons this story has to offer. Because knowledge, as they say, is power. And in this case, it's the power to see the strings and decide whether or not you want to be pulled by them. 1. Flattery as a gateway. Flattery is the first tool in the manipulator's toolbox, and it's deceptively effective. Linda would shower me with compliments. "You're a natural at this, I don't trust anyone else to handle it." At first, it felt amazing. Who doesn't love being praised? But over time, I realized it wasn't genuine. It was a way to keep me hooked, to make me feel special so I'd be more willing to take on extra work without question. It's like being given a golden ticket, only to realize it's just a piece of paper with no real value. The flattery wasn't about me, it was about keeping me compliant. 2. Guilt tripping and emotional manipulation. Linda had a way of making saying no feel like a betrayal. She'd frame everything in terms of loyalty and teamwork. "We're a family here," she'd say, her voice soft but firm. "Families support each other." It's a clever tactic because it taps into your sense of duty. You don't want to let your family down, do you? But here's the thing, a real family doesn't make you feel guilty for having boundaries. A real family doesn't use your emotions against you. Linda's version of family was a one-way street, and I was the one doing all the giving. 3. Gaslighting, making you doubt your reality. Gaslighting is one of the most insidious tactics because it messes with your head. When I brought up concerns about my workload, Linda would act surprised. "Really? Everyone else seems to be managing just fine," she'd say, her brow furrowed like I was the odd one out. Suddenly, I was questioning myself. Was I overreacting? Was I not as capable as everyone else? It's a subtle but powerful way to make you doubt your own feelings and perceptions. By undermining your confidence, they keep you in line. It's like being told the sky isn't blue, over and over until you start to believe it. 4. Divide and conquer, creating competition. Linda was a master at pitting us against each other. She'd praise one team member in front of the others, then drop little hints about who was really carrying the team. It created this undercurrent of competition, a quiet tension that kept us all on edge. Instead of working together, we were too busy watching our backs, wondering who was in favor and who wasn't. It's a classic tactic, divide and conquer. When you're busy competing with your coworkers, you're not paying attention to who's really pulling the strings. It's like a magician distracting you with one hand while the other does the trick. 5. The illusion of choice. Another tactic Linda used was giving the illusion of choice. She'd say things like, "You can take on this project, or I can give it to someone else, but I really think you're the best person for it." On the surface, it feels like you have options, but really, there's only one right answer. It's a way of making you feel like you're in control when, in reality, you're being steered exactly where they want you to go. It's like being handed a menu with only one dish. 6. The carrot and the stick. Linda was great at dangling the carrot. "If you do well on this project, there could be a promotion in it for you," she'd say, her tone full of promise. But the carrot was always just out of reach. No matter how hard I worked, the promotion never materialized. And if I ever pushed back or underperformed, out came the stick. Subtle criticisms, passive-aggressive comments, or being sidelined on important projects. It's a classic tactic, keep you chasing the carrot, but make sure you never quite catch it. 7. The clock, exploiting time. The clock on the wall became a symbol of everything wrong with that job. It wasn't just counting the hours, it was a reminder of how much of my time was being exploited. Linda would casually ask for just a little extra effort to meet a deadline, but those little extras added up. Before I knew it, I was working late nights and weekends, all while being told it was for the good of the team. Time is the one resource you can't get back, and manipulators know that. They'll take as much of it as you're willing to give, and then some. 8. Setting boundaries, breaking free. The turning point came when I realized I didn't have to play by Linda's rules. I started setting boundaries. I said no, without apologizing. I stopped chasing the carrot of approval and started focusing on my own goals. It wasn't easy, there was pushback, guilt tripping, and even some gaslighting. But once I saw the tactics for what they were, they lost their power. The strings were still there, but I wasn't attached to them anymore. I learned that the best way to beat a manipulator is to refuse to play their game. Workplace manipulation is real, and it's more common than you think. But knowledge is power. Once you recognize these tactics, you can stand up for yourself and set boundaries. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button and share it with someone who might need to hear this. And if you want more content on workplace awareness, personal growth, and mental well-being, be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. Have you ever experienced manipulation at work? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story and help build a community where we support each other. Thanks for watching, and remember, you deserve to work in a place that respects you.